Yo, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about the patch notes, what I think is kind of broken with the game, and what I think can be changed about Valorant. But we're going to start off with specifically the patch notes that were released 2 days ago from today. So let's get into those. So first on the patch notes is listed gameplay and balance. They changed melee damage. That melee attacks now inflict double the damage per hit to destructible items. So there are only a few destructible items in the game, and one of those is Sage's wall. So it's kind of a direct nerf to how powerful Sage's wall was when, you know, on pistol round. Basically on pistol round, you were not breaking Sage's wall in enough time. You were going to get flanked or something was going to happen to you before you could get that wall down. That thing was like, I don't know, it was insane. Like, it was just insanely strong. It was like a new real wall in the game, not just an ability. Like, when she placed it, that was basically it on pistol round. It was so strong. But the other only destructible item that is listed in the patch notes is Haven's metal doors. And if you knife those, then you're able to wallbang through them afterwards. So, I mean, it doesn't really seem very crucial to be able to knife, but it can prove to be pretty useful in certain situations. That's a very situational one. But the two main nerfs that came out were for Sage and Raze, which have been arguably the two most overpowered characters in the game. Now, if you know me, you know that I have been playing and quote-unquote abusing Raze, but I think that her ultimate ability isn't very powerful considering some of the abilities in the game. Like, you know, Sage has a ability to revive a character. Brimstone has the ability to ult almost an entire site. You know, if you're sitting on B site on Haven, you're gonna die to a Brimstone ult. And I mean, there are a couple of more abilities that are pretty strong. I'd say Phoenix's ability is up there with Raze's ability, but what people were complaining about the most was the fact that you didn't have to really aim to be able to use Raze's abilities, and that's why she's not a competitive character, or there's no skill or integrity required when utilizing her, and that's why people wanted her to be nerfed, because of her two abilities, which were the paint shells, which don't really require any skill to get off, you know, an extremely large amount of damage. Like, some of the most damage you can do per second come from her paint shells. So what they did was they adjusted audio for paint shells, so that, and her blast pack, pretty much all of her items, so that, you know, now you'll be able to know for sure when you hear her using her abilities. They also reduced the paint shells, which are the grenades, from 2 to 1, and now they require, so you get 1 paint shell at the beginning of the round, and it requires you to get 2 kills after using your paint shell to get another one. So that kind of creates sort of a skill gap within the character. Not everybody is going to be able to have 2 paint shells every round. Only characters that work pretty hard and, you know, frag out are going to be the ones that get the paint shells, which is a pretty solid nerf to her. I think that, personally, what should have been done about her abilities is simply, they should have nerfed the amount of damage that her paint shells output. I think that reducing the number of paint shells isn't really what I, as a race player, would say would really suit, like, nerfing the character, but the actual damage that is being output by her abilities, I would say that is what would pretty much help balance the character. So let's get on to Sage. Sage slow orb now also slows the airspeed of players around it, or that are stuck in her orb. So basically what that means is there's no more bee hopping through her ultimate ability, or I mean through her slow orb. So basically when you're stuck in Sage's slow orb, you can't gain any kind of speed from bee hopping anymore through it. You're gonna have the same speed. But the other balance that they made was that players can now walk through the slow orb without making noise. So Sage's slow orb used to be really loud when you got caught in it, and it used to make a lot of noise to signify that someone was stuck in the slow orb, but now it no longer does that. So those are some of the nerfs to Sage. I think it was more of balancing more than specifically nerfing. They did, you know, try to balance the slow orb as much as possible. You can't bee hop through it, but you also do not get heard now when you push through her slow orb. So I say that they made some pretty good balances to Sage. I do think that there are some other characters that need to be worked on. Personally, I personally think that Breach is a really, really strong character, and he might need to be looked at. And Cypher also is probably one of the strongest characters in the game personally. So I think that he's another character that could definitely take, you know, could go for some balance updates. Breach's flash is just, it's broken the way he can throw his flashes and how far they can go through buildings and through walls. It's just busted. That doesn't take any skill to be able to even do that. You don't have to be close. Like, I don't know. It's not even like you're throwing a flash off of a wall through a corridor. You literally point it through a wall and click. It's the least skillful ability I've ever seen in any video game. I mean, besides raises, you know, the amount of damage raises nades do, yeah, that's horribly unskillful. But being able to flash in the way that he does, I personally think is pretty ridiculous. And I think that he needs to, you know, he needs to have some balance updates as well, because I think that some of his abilities are not very fair. And the other player, I think that there needs to be some sort of counters in place for Cypher, because his abilities are pretty much uncounterable. When he places a tripwire, there's just no getting around it without alerting him. Like, you very specifically have to alert him each time you use it, or I mean each time you have to destroy it. I think that if you're carrying a ghost pistol, the silence pistol, I think they should reduce the noise on the silence pistol. And I think that when you shoot the tripwire with a silenced pistol, it should not at all give away your position or alert Cypher that his trap has even been destroyed. I think that would be a good nerf to Cypher personally. But I would like to see some of the devs take a look at some of the other characters, since they are nerfing what they think are the two most powerful characters, when there are clearly other characters that are extremely strong. But yeah, I'm excited for the future of this game, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to make more like this in the future. Have a great day, guys. Peace and love. He's on B. Fuck, he killed me. Probably going into the rush. I hit him for 150. I hear them again. Garage, T side. They're literally just pushing in. I gotta get out of here. I'm 17 HP. Nice. I'm gonna push again. Yes, they could have. We have bomb though.
Oh, we killed.
Give me smoke. Pushing up towards me.